Hey, you want a phone but you cheap? Have I got a deal for you? Boost Mobile gave me a special link to give you guys. Switch over to Boost Mobile between now and March 31st using the link in the description below. You can get a phone for $50 off, including the iPhones. And you know how them iPhones be. Plus, if you're with Boost Mobile, you get unlimited talk, unlimited text, unlimited data, Tinder all day long. So click the link in the description, or you can check out this annotation to go to Boost Mobile's YouTube channel. They have all kinds of great offers. I'm actually in one of the Boost Mobile videos on their YouTube channel. See if you can find me. And then you'll have a new phone so you can call your dog. What up, dog? Speaking of dogs, Mr. Peabody and Sherman. How's that for an intro? This intro was not sponsored by Boost Mobile, except for the fact that it was. Hi, I'm Andre, and I'm a black nerd with a review for you. Black Nerd Reviews. Mr. Peabody and Sherman.
I'm gonna tell you the good, I'm gonna tell you the bad, and I'm gonna tell you the nerdy. Sherman, my boy.
Somebody said, hey, we already did a movie with Rocky and Bullwinkle and Dudley Do-Right, but we never did one with Peabody and Sherman. They were live action. Well, let's make this one completely CGI. Let's not make it live action like Underdog. Best synopsis ever. Okay, so backstory for all of you who were not born yet. Mr. Peabody and Sherman, cartoon inside of the Rocky and Bullwinkle show. Peabody was this talking dog. It was never explained. He just talked. He invented the Wayback Machine so that he and Sherman can go through time. So Mr. Peabody could show Sherman all the different things of history. They would always come at a certain point when a certain historical time in history had not happened yet. And so, of course, Mr. Peabody and Sherman were part of the reason why certain things happened. And then Mr. Peabody would always end the cartoon with a pun. First, the good. Mr. Peabody and Sherman is smart. I mean, incredibly smart. Has a lot of historical references, math, science, physics. There's just so many things that this movie puts in your face that you're just like, wow, I feel stupid right now. I love that it would do a bunch of smart references or historical references, and then they would be like, all right, you could tell that the higher ups were like, let's throw in a joke about butts so that the kids are happy. Burrell from Modern Family does a really good job. You feel like you're listening to Mr. Peabody and not just some celebrity doing a voice. Has that same kind of tone that Mr. Peabody has. He's not as mean to Sherman as Mr. Peabody was in the original cartoon. He's a little bit nicer because he's more of a father figure, whereas in the original cartoon, Sherman was kind of like his pet human. But you still kind of have that little bit of a distance. Like there's one time when Sherman is all like, I love you, Mr. Peabody, and Mr. Peabody's like,
I have a deep regard for you as well, Sherman.
They waste no time showing you the Wayback Machine and traveling through time, and they go to a lot of different periods of history. What Mr. Peabody and Sherman does with history is the same way that Wreck-It Ralph does with video games, or that Toy Story did with toys. And what they do really well is they have a montage to show you how Mr. Peabody and Sherman grew up, but they show it backwards. They show it from now to when he was a baby. So it's kind of like it's going through time itself. The montage is going backwards in time. While doing that, they're able to show a number of different parts of history that Mr. Peabody and Sherman traveled. And then they also go to a number of different places throughout the movie as well. That was the one disappointment I had about Wreck-It Ralph, was you were in this video game world, but you only really saw like a couple of video games. With this, you're going to see a number of different parts of history. I love the fact that it was completely animated. This movie would not have worked the same if all the humans were live actors and Mr. Peabody was a CGI dog. So kudos for that. Now for the bad. Before I even talk about the bad things in the movie, I have to talk about the marketing for this movie. Every single time I saw a commercial for this, I was dreading going to see this movie because it was all dog jokes. Oh, Mr. Peabody gets distracted if you throw a ball and all this kind of silly stuff. There was a commercial for Peabody that played Who Let the Dogs Out in 2014. None of that is in the movie. Almost half of the stuff that you see in the TV commercials about, oh, he's a dog, here's dog jokes, none of that makes the film. It's this whole story about how some people don't believe that a dog should take care of a human because a dog is not the same as anyone else in this society. So we should look at dogs differently than everyone else. This is gonna be tough for little kids. If you're like late elementary school, middle school, high school, or college, and you've taken history, or you're a history buff, or you're an adult and you love history, there's gonna be so many jokes that you're going to get because you like that stuff. Like if you're learning about the French Revolution in class, and then all of a sudden you see it in this movie, it's gonna be funny for you because like, oh, that's a thing I learned in school. But if you are like 5, you've never learned anything about history yet in school, this is gonna be like, what is this? What am I watching right here? You better watch some Baby Einsteins or Bubble Guppies or something before you go see this movie so you can learn a few things. And of course, we have to talk about the character of Penny, a new character that they added, a girl that goes to time travel with them. The problem with her though is that they make her incredibly mean at first. She is a flat out bully to Sherman. She's like beating him up, calling him a dog, putting him in a headlock to the point where Sherman has to attack back at her, that you're just like, okay, so now she all of a sudden in an instant turns around and is like super nice, and now Sherman likes her. At least have her just think that Sherman's weird or something like that and then flip over. But to have her just be a flat out mean bully where kids are actually around yelling, fight, I was like, whoa, that is a deep end to come from. Now we're best friends.
And now for the nerdy.
Like I said, if you love history, you're gonna love a lot of historical references in this, especially how they try to mix history with present day, kind of along the same lines of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. And if you remember the old cartoon, remember they had that intro, and that little janitor would come in. There's actually a small reference to him in the movie too, so look out for that. This is a really cute movie. I honestly thought it was gonna be the #1 movie in America, but it wasn't. 300 sequel beat it. I was waiting for Mr. Peabody to time travel into the 300 movie, because that would have made sense, right? This is Peabody! I am so proud that this movie is as smart as it is. That being said, I was in a theater, a bunch of kids, 20, 30 minutes in, were just like, kicking their feet, because it just wasn't that wacky, silly cartoon movie that you usually see. This was a movie that had a lot of heart to it and had a lot of thought to it. It just happened to be a movie about a talking dog. And when you see talking dog in a movie, you just think like, oh, it's gonna be a wacky, silly time. But it's like, it's not, because that's how the original cartoon was. It wasn't like that. We argue so much about cartoon properties that get made into movies and they're so far removed from their original source material. This one may actually be too close to it. Now I wanna hear from you. If you saw Mr. Peabody and Sherman, what'd you think of it? Or are you now going to see it after hearing this review? And if you could travel to any part of history and meet any historical figure, who would you want to meet in the past? I love you like a play cousin. I'm Addy 5000. Chain chomp yomp.